The Better For You programme is a programme that the board initiated 18 months ago, and in essence it's a major change programme that is designed to enlist the hearts, the minds, the energies, experience, frustrations of patients and staff.
It's really a long-term transformational programme that looks at changing the way all our processes work across the hospital to make the patient experience, however they touch the hospital, better. And last but not least, to make the staff experience of working at NUH as good as it can be. All of our separate programmes have a clinical champion. They have project leads from within the working teams themselves, and all the decisions and all the directions are taken by the staff who work with patients at the front line. Even before we launched the programme, we had a huge series of events that involved staff right across the hospital being able to come for half an hour to learn about what the transformational programme was wanting to do, and to really sort of input in how they wanted to see it work, and to start the process of getting good ideas from the staff and how it was going to work.
The change has not been forced upon anybody. It has been the day-to-day staff that have to come up with the ideas of how best to make the changes, and that's, you know, a real difference compared to any other trust that I've worked in within the NHS.
Once the project had established, we were given time set aside from our clinical hours actually dedicated to work on the project themselves. So for me, that's anywhere between 4 and 7.5 hours a week where I have dedicated time to come and work on the project.
We also run specific events where we actually ask staff to come together to tell us what they need to do their job, what their requirements are, what their ideas are. And most of the projects now have got somebody who actually takes responsibility for implementing what we call quick wins.
The Quick Wins project is essentially, it collates ideas from anybody who has an idea. There's various places around the department that people can write down ideas on a post-it note, put them on this wall, and I'll go around, collect these ideas and log them. I'll then give them a score depending on time, benefit and cost to a maximum of 9. And ideas that score 8 and 9 are then deemed to be a quick win. The quick win that shows the best impact within the department that we've done so far was an idea put forward by a junior nurse, relatively new to the department, and previously within the department. To set up an intravenous infusion, you had to go to 3 separate areas to collect all of the equipment that was required, and purely by putting everything in the same location and making that more accessible, it saved 2.5 hours of a nurse's time per 50 patients that come through majors. On a day-to-day basis, we see between 420 and 500 people a day, and the vast majority of those go through majors. So on a year basis, this is making a vast impact to the amount of time spent doing this procedure.
Some of the ideas we've been able to action in the emergency department, which is our first big change project, was around how we care for patients who come in with minor illnesses and minor injuries. Some of those patients suffered some of the longest waits, and the staff very quickly identified for us those waits were largely unnecessary. These were patients who could and should be seen and sent home more quickly.
We expect to see enormous benefits to the service that we offer for our minor injury and illness patients. So for them, we hope to offer a much more patient-centred approach where we revolve around the patient rather than them working around us all the time. Our ambition, our future state, is that all these patients are seen within 2 hours, seen, sorted and discharged within 2 hours.
For the staff in the emergency department, for many of them, it was the first time they'd seen board members in a positive manner. They weren't seeing them when things were going wrong or difficult. And so that's really changed the way they feel supported by the Trust Board.
In many respects, the role of the board now is to serve frontline staff and to help make sure that the Trust's systems, processes sometimes sclerotic decision-making overhauled, and that we provide a better level of support, a faster, more rapid, more intelligent set of decision-making that more adequately supports staff doing the often very difficult jobs that they do. So it has helped to reframe much of the board's sense of its role and how it conducts it. And that's been a very invigorating and sometimes challenging process.
The 7,000 staff who've been through the Better View programme so far, and of course the other 6,000 who haven't yet participated but will be affected by it, will know that their ideas, their thoughts are being taken seriously. That we are attempting to do things differently with a relentless focus on patient care.
It's given us the footing to make massive changes that are actually seem to be for once based on something that's been measured, rather than thinking, oh, I think possibly this way could work better. We've had to actually prove that it will work better in order to make those changes.
I think attitudes have changed, people are more open and willing to try new processes, and everybody's working to provide the best care that we can for the patients that we see.
We had the busiest single day in our entire history as a hospital or as a trust for emergency patients earlier this year, where we saw 617 emergency patients in one day. Only one of those patients waited longer than 4 hours. That was directly the result of applying the lessons and the working methods that the Better For You emergency department team had devised and put into place. And those methods were trialled on that day in earnest.